What's good, YouTube? My name is Coach, and in today's video we're going to be going over a Satoru Umezawa Zombie Tribal Ninjutsu Commander deck. The commander deck that we have over here is quite literally the Wilhelt Rock Cleaver precon. So if you have this deck, then you almost have everything you need to build your own copy of this deck. The reason why I chose to put Wilhelt inside the commander deck as opposed to making him the commander is because Satoru has the ability to give all of your creatures ninjutsu. And when I was looking at the precon, there are a lot of zombies and creatures inside the deck that had a high mana cost. So what I often found while I was playtesting was that I could get these 6-7 drop creatures on the board on turn 4 consistently. And not only that, when you ninjutsu, Satoru allows you to look at the top 3 cards of your library and put one of them to your hand. So he's a pretty decent source of card advantage. Wilhelt lets you draw cards as well. It's just that I would rather choose from 3 cards rather than just draw 1 at the end of my turn. So, first things first, because this is a zombie tribal deck, we're going to go over the zombies we're running inside this deck. And the first zombie that we have here is the zombie ninja himself, the Fallen Shinobi. This is a 5/4 ninja that has ninjutsu. This is the Vindictive Lich. I believe this forces one person to discard, another person to sacrifice, another person to lose life. Liliana's Devotee. I'm just going to go through these pretty quickly. A lot of these cards are the cards that are in the precon. But like I mentioned before, if you have the precon, you already have most of these cards. So within this precon, what was important was having the ability to sacrifice your zombies. So these are all the cards over here that we're going to be using, or some of the cards that we're going to be using to sacrifice zombies to get some sort of value. So we have Wilhelt, the Spark Reaper. This Cleaver Scab actually sacrifices a zombie and then creates 2 tokens that are copies of that zombie. So I'm going to leave this over here so we can go over a little interaction later. Malevolent Awakening. And then we're running Kels Fight Fixer. Honestly, I initially was going to make Kels the commander for this deck, and then I chose not to. But she was good enough that I decided just to keep her inside the deck. Some of the advantage that we receive from having Satoru as the commander allows us to reuse our powerful creatures over and over again. So when I talk about powerful creatures, I mean creatures that are going to allow us to remove our opponent's creatures on the board. So ninjutsu generally works best when your creatures are able to attack unblocked. So people generally play unblockable creatures. However, the idea with this deck is if our opponent has no creatures, they can't block. So we're running the Cemetery Desecrator. When this enters the battlefield, target creature an opponent controls gets X-X until the end of turn, where X is the mana value of the exiled card. And when this enters the battlefield or dies, you exile a card and you give a creature X-X. Great with the Cleaver Scab, might I add. Running Tetsumak Primal Death. This card, you can pay a black mana to reveal this card from your hand, and then when you ninjutsu or cast this card normally, you destroy each creature with that prey counter on it. We have the Eater of Hope. This doesn't enter the battlefield and destroy anything. However, you can pay 3 mana to destroy a creature by sacrificing 2 creatures. And mind you, we have creatures we want to sacrifice. We have the Rot-Tide Gargantua, the Zombie Kraken. When this exploits, forces each opponent to sacrifice a creature. This can basically exploit up to 3 times, and when that happens, each opponent sacrifices that many creatures. Overseer of the Dam destroys a creature when it enters the battlefield, and whenever a non-token creature dies, I get to create a 2/2 zombie. Reaper from the Abyss. At the beginning of each end step, if a creature died this turn, destroy a target non-demon creature. And then a Gormand. A Gormand enters the battlefield and each opponent sacrifices a creature. Normally when you cast a spell, you have to sacrifice a creature. However, with ninjutsu, you can avoid that completely. So mind you, Gormand is a flying creature, so Gormand is going to be difficult to block. A lot of these creatures here have flying or remove creatures, so that it's going to be easy for us to generate a loop where essentially we would be casting, let's say, Overseer of the Damned and then a Ravenous Rotbelly. And then what ends up happening is we'll ninjutsu one, this goes back to our hand. Next turn, we'll ninjutsu this one. The next turn, we'll ninjutsu this one, and so on and so forth. And it's really difficult for your opponents to maintain a board state when you keep looping 2 cards that are removing creatures from the board. So these cards over here are the cards that I just find to be pretty strong inside this deck. We have Ghoul-Caller Gisa. You can pay a black mana to sacrifice another creature, and then you create X 2/2 black zombie creature tokens where X is a sacrificed creature's power. Stitcher Geralf, creating more zombies. Gisa and Geralf allows us to cast zombies from our graveyard. We have a Vanquisher's Banner, which lets us draw cards whenever we cast a zombie. Endless Ranks of the Dead just creates a ton of zombies for us. Dreadhorde Invasion also creates zombies. Rooftop Storm lets us cast zombies for free. And then Open the Graves creates zombies whenever a creature we control goes to the graveyard. So just keep in mind that another advantage that we have from this deck, having the ninjutsu, is that, you know, usually we have decayed zombie tokens, and when we have decayed zombies, essentially what ends up happening is as these creatures attack, they have to be sacrificed at the end of combat. So generally there's a little, other than sacrifice fodder and then just occasional 2 damage, sometimes these creatures tend to not be so powerful, and our opponents will generally not block these creatures. But the thing is that because we end up creating so many zombie tokens, whether it's these zombies or other forms of zombies that we can create inside this deck, what ends up happening is that we can use these tokens as fodder to essentially ninjutsu out some of our more important creatures that are going to allow us to kind of control the game. So this is the first iteration of this deck. In the future, I can make another deck tech once I really have this deck tuned and I've played games with it and I understand it a bit more, and then we can add more. But this is the Satoru Umezawa Zombie Ninja Commander deck. So the reason I upload these videos is just to share this, and if anybody has any suggestions or ideas on how I can make this deck better, please, you can let me know in the comment section below. I would genuinely appreciate it, and I hope you learned something from this video. Keep in mind that whenever you subscribe to this channel and you comment on any one of my videos, you enter for a chance to win a weekly giveaway, and this week's weekly giveaway is a copy of Lightpaw's Emperor's Voice. Okay, so I hope everybody has an amazing day. Please, if you just subscribe, like, or comment, it genuinely supports this channel and this channel's growth and helps to get these videos out in front of more people, and I appreciate the moment you take to just hit like or to comment. I really appreciate it. Okay, hope you guys have an amazing day. Always remember, eat healthy, okay, work out every single day, and most importantly, you gotta believe in yourself. All right, peace.